Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu rules, written and produced by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Strong language, mature scenes, and mature themes are present in this recording. This actual play is part of the Your Scenario, Your Actual Play series for the Miskatonic Repository and Johnstown Compendium. And now, on to the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am your keeper, Keeper Rena. My pronouns are they, them, and I am very excited to bring to you Dream House by Evan Pearlman, a best-selling scenario on the Miskatonic Repository. This is going to be a wonderful time with my wonderful cast of players, but before we get to introductions, I'd like to say thank you to all of our listeners, and a special thank you to you, the Patreon supporter. We literally could not do this without you. If you would like to see what we have to offer on Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast. And now, let's get on to some introductions. To my right.
Hello, I'm Nate, your friend Nate on all the Discords, and tonight I'm playing Buzz. No last name, apparently famous like Cher.
Wonderful. And next to Nate, we have...
Hi, my name is Tegan Gilbert, and I am playing Missy, a dilettante.
Excellent. And at the end of the table.
Hi, I'm Skip. I'll be playing Stanley. Stanley just likes to go places, do things.
Very specific, thank you. And last, but by no means least...
Hello, I'm Patrick McNamara, your best friend and the only person who truly understands you. And I am playing Clarence.
Thank you very much. All right, so we open our curtain tonight in Boston, a cold Halloween night, 1923. It is a surprisingly snowy Halloween, to all of your surprise, as you make your way to the home of Mr. Knott, a friend, perhaps former employer of some of you. You're not quite sure why it's snowing out on Halloween night, and you're perhaps regretting that you're making your way out to this dinner party being thrown by Mr. Knott. But here you are, nonetheless. So, as you make your way, are you driving, taking public transportation? How are you all getting there?
Well, I'm definitely going to have to get dropped off by someone, and it's going to have to be... Oh, God, I'm not bringing a chaperone or anyone with me?
Nope.
Okay, well then I'm going to get dropped off by my driver, or the family's driver.
Family driver?
It's a ride share.
I'm arriving on my trusty bicycle.
So that's fun in the snow. You're getting pelted with snowflakes, you're sliding around a lot. It takes you a lot longer to get there than you would hope.
But my calves look amazing.
They do. Sexiest calves in Boston.
I will be taking public transportation.
Okay.
A brisk walk through this unseasonable snowstorm is Buzz's mode of transportation.
All bundled up against the cold.
Overcoat, wool, top hat, everything.
Wonderful. So you arrive at the home of Mr. Henry Knott. It's a quiet, aging home in a nondescript Boston neighborhood. The snow is falling gently around it, slowly building up, heavier and heavier and heavier. It feels like almost moment to moment the snow gets stronger. But you have all arrived more or less simultaneously at the same time on the doorstep. Mr. Knott has invited you here in order to help him with something. For dinner and a favor. He didn't quite specify what the favor was, but for one reason or another, you all have an interest in his well-being and you have decided to come to this dinner party. You knock on the door. Who's the one who makes the knock?
I am the one who knocks.
Okay, Clarence Heisenberg, I think we found your last name. You knock on the door, and there is a long moment before the door opens till you hear shuffling of feet in the hallway. And Mr. Knott opens the door. He is an elderly man in his late 70s, and he's got unkempt gray hair. He's wearing a neat, what was once neat suit that's got patches on the elbows, has seen better days. But he greets you warmly, says, my friends, thank you so much for coming. Quick, come in, out of the snow, out of the cold. What unseasonal weather we're having. And he prattles on a little bit, as he is wont to do. You've known him for quite some time, and he just seems grateful to have the company ever since his wife, Eleanor, died a few months ago. And he ushers you in, says, would you like to put your coats in the mudroom and then join me in the sitting room for some cocktails?
Oh, cocktails.
That would be absolutely delightful.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, it's so good to see all of you. And he points you in the direction of the mudroom. You come in through the front door and points you off to the right. And you go into this room, and it's got hangers for your coats.
Young lady, can I help you with your coat? I think, what did you say your name was, Missy?
No, my name is Clarence, and I'm fine with my coat, thank you.
Oh, let me put my eyeglasses. Oh, I'm so sorry, Clarence. No, I was, nearsighted. The lady over here, yes. I think.
And what was your name?
Oh, I'm Buzz.
Buzz. That's a very interesting name. Is that your Christian name, or?
Oh, Christian name Busby. And I decided to not go by Busby. Probably the second minute that I had joined elementary school. It seemed like Buzz might be a better choice for me.
Enchanté, Busby. Yes, absolutely. You absolutely help me.
I'm Stanley. I've always kind of gone by Stanley, so you can call me Stanley. Yeah.
Oh, nice to meet you, Stan.
It's a pleasure.
So you put your coats in the mudroom. Buzz takes Missy's coat for her, as she expects, and hangs it up. There's coats hung up. There's scarves and winter boots and all sorts of accoutrements hung up in here. The room is very well used. There's some tracks on the floor, perhaps from Mr. Knott himself, muddy tracks coming in from outside. Little puddles drip from your coats as you hang them up from where the snow has melted. And you can make your way out of the mudroom over for some cocktails, should you choose.
Oh, I should say, actually, that you're the first Buzz in my life. But however, I am now going to do a little pun here that I do plan to get a different kind of Buzz from these delicious cocktails.
Clarence, lovely. I've never heard that before.
Oh, no, I'm so glad. I was worried before I said it. I thought, I wonder if he's heard this one before. And I have to say, it's delightful to know that I'm the first. I really enjoy that.
Clarence, I must say, where are you from? You have such a delightful mid-Atlantic accent.
Yes, Clarence Hartford of the Chelsea Hartfords. You know that what they say in London, you know where you are with a Hartford.
I can't say that I've heard that remark.
Oh, well, obviously you haven't been to London.
Well, I think Daddy's taking me over later this year. We are supposed to be taking a look at a new yacht by Camper and Nicholson's, and they have a wonderful factory down in the other Norfolk.
Oh, well, great. Well, I'm sure while you're there, you're likely to hear the expression, you know where you are with a Hartford.
I'm sure we will, and when I do, I'll have to write you a letter back.
Oh, well, I shall look forward to it immensely.
As you have this conversation, Henry leads you down the hallway towards the living room, and you are perhaps a little bit surprised when you enter the living room. As there's the normal things you would expect. Faded oriental rug. There's a sofa by the window. It's bleached of color by years of sitting in the sunlight. 2 armchairs, a fireplace blazing, landscape paintings on the wall. But the interesting thing about this room is it is covered with crucifixes and pictures of the Virgin Mary all over the walls. It is excessive. And as far as you know, Mr. Knott is not a particularly devout Catholic.
I walk up to one of the crucifixes and I touch it gently, and then I turn to everyone and I say, "You better be careful with me tonight, everyone. I'm feeling a little cross." Do you see?
That's very rude. We have to. I wasn't aware that he converted.
Make me a spot hidden roll, Clarence.
Okay. So I got I guess I got a 15. I got a 10 and a 5. Is that 15?
That's 15, yes.
And my spot hidden is 70.
So that is a hard success.
Yeah.
So you're making this little joke and talking to everyone, but you suddenly feel like the pictures of the Virgin, these beautiful, dark-haired, dark-eyed women, are watching you. And as you move away from the crucifixes on the wall, the heads turn to watch you. Their eyes are glowing with sullen flame.
I'm just going to take a quick poll. Does anyone else notice that these portraits of the Madonna, do their eyes appear to be sort of burning with a sullen flame to any of the rest of you?
I mean, they always do. Shivers, and then.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very clever trick. I wonder how they did it. Must be some kind of special type of paint.
I don't understand anything about art. It's just a picture to me.
Henry doesn't seem to have noticed any of this. He's perhaps a little bit deaf, but he just smiles and says, "Do enjoy the drinks." He points to a drinks cart. It is prohibition. However, there was an exception for if you already owned the alcohol before prohibition went into effect. It wasn't a problem, so he perhaps has a well-stocked cellar, and there are multiple libations for you to choose from. He doesn't seem to notice anything about the art or the eyes or your trepidation, Clarence. Just help yourself. I'll be in the kitchen preparing dinner, finishing the preparations. If you want to have a look around, or he trails off for a moment. Yes, look around or talk or whatever it is you young people like to do these days. Thank you again for coming. And he totters off, still muttering, thank you.
That's a really nice man right there. He gave me a job. I was really, really thankful. And, sometimes I don't understand what he's saying, but I'm very thankful that he gave me that job. Now, y'all want a drink?
I would love a drink. Thank you so much.
That's one thing I know how to do is pour drink.
Well,
yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of things you know how to do. Don't be too hard on yourself. What was the manner of that job that he set you up with?
He put me in a factory. See, I've been down on my luck for quite some time, and he and his missus was they gave me food and everything, and then he learned I didn't have a job, and he said, "Well, I got a place for you in the factory." And I said, I never worked in a factory before, but I'll be glad to do whatever. I'm kind of hungry, and he's just introduced me to the boss down there, and they put me on, and I've been able to eat, and that's for me that's kind of good because I lost a lot of weight.
Well, it strikes me, Stanley, and I worry that I may come across as patronizing, so please do let me know if I am, that you came into this new job when you admitted that you had little experience of it, and it seems to me that you're thriving. So don't be too hard on yourself, saying you're not good at anything at all. I mean, all kinds of abilities and skills can be useful. Perhaps you don't play an excellent game of chess, but then what is the point of doing so other than to tell people that you're very good at chess?
This is true, but that word, patron, I didn't understand that, but I understood everything else. I don't play chess, but I could pour you a drink. What would you like there? Clarence, you said?
Clarence, yes. I would love to have what you are having.
I'm just going to have some rye.
Sounds good to me. In fact, I think that sounds like it would be right up my alley.
I see what you did. And he'll just go to pour the drink. Buzz, ma'am, what would you like?
Well, if he has any gin, if you're and a couple of limes, I'd absolutely go for a gin Ricky.
Know anybody named Ricky, but I'll be glad to pour the gin for you. Buzz, what would you like?
Gin sounds good to me. And just some ice is fine. So, Henry gave you a job. He was one of the brightest minds in the society, and it's so troubling to see him now. And fallen, and he used to be shy. He taught me so much. He was sharp as a tack, always on top of everything, and now sort of tottering about this giant house. Hurts my heart.
He doesn't talk much anymore. Whenever I see him, he just smiles and waves. Like I said, I'm much obliged that he did that, and I worry about the man.
Well, it looks like he has a new project, at least now, with all these crosses and the idolatry and everything. And I'll take a look at some of the paintings themselves and see if any of them have any, I don't know, particular historical significance as an antiquarian.
Antiquarian, yes.
As an antiquarian, which is not anything to do with horses. It's something to do with old stuff. It's somewhat interesting to me.
Walk up to some of the paintings and have a look. You can make me an appraise roll.
That is a 41, over 30.
So they don't appear to have much value to them. They don't appear particularly old. They're all in the same style. They're very dark. You'd say, looking at them more in the Italian style, with the way the Madonna is painted with her dark hair, dark eyes. There's no Christ child in these pictures, which most pictures of the Madonna that you've seen in Catholic churches tend to have the Christ child with them, so perhaps that's a little bit strange. You do get an uncomfortable feeling from being so close to them. You're not sure what it is, but it's little chills up your spine.
Well, maybe I take that back. I don't quite see the significance of the... Clarence, you would seem to have noticed something when you took a look at these paintings. I don't see it. Although it is drafty in this room. I sort of wish that I'd worn another sweater.
Yes, I just found the eyes rather fascinating. But perhaps it's the Italian style. I'm not much of a one for art history. I have to say, having all of this Catholic paraphernalia around, I'm rather worried to try the wine, lest it turn out to be the blood of Jesus Christ. Wouldn't that be a strange thing to get drunk on at a party?
It is a bit drafty in here, now that you mention it. It's perhaps the house just isn't in the best of repair. It is a little bit run down, you noticed from the outside, but it is a bit windy and chilly in here. There's a draft coming in.
Did you say there was a fireplace?
There is a fireplace with a roaring fire.
Stanley will go, noticing that everybody's a little bit chilly, he'll go try to stoke the fire a little bit.
Okay, you stoke the fire. It takes a little bit to get it going, to make it stronger. It's almost like it's resisting you for a moment.
Is there a wind maybe coming down from the chimney that's causing it, or?
Yeah, there's a cold wind when you put your hand out, not too close to the flames, but yeah, there's some cool air coming in through there.
He's must got some holes in the chimney. There's a little draft coming in through the chimney. Let me see if I can just put a little log on or something and and get it going.
Yes, I'm going to have to give him the name of my chimney guy, Chimney Brian, we call him. He'll have this sorted out very quickly. But good on you for helping out, Stanley.
I've been a chimney sweep in the past, here and there.
Oh, it sounds like quite a fascinating job. But it's also one of those sorts that sounds like it could be either fascinating or very, very dull. Which did you find it?
It got me food, so I thought it was fascinating.
Yes, I imagine you did.
Missy, you were about to do something.
Yes, I was going to go see if there was a window that was open.
Okay. So you go over towards the couch. There's these beautiful double-sided windows behind the couch. Curtains are pulled over them, but you can pull the curtains back. And for a brief moment, you feel a cold gust of wind coming in at you through the window, and then you blink and it's just the windows are closed.
Oh, so that was like an odd mental thing that just happened.
Yes, perhaps it's because you just came in from out of the storm. You're a little perplexed as to why such a heavy storm is happening on Halloween. Too early for such storms. That's got to be it.
I'm definitely going to take another look at my drink and maybe even smell it a little bit.
I will say that if we're going to be trapped inside by this storm, at least there's plenty of booze. Not that I would ever partake in booze in outside of a situation like this, where of course it's covered by a loophole. But still, I mean, if we do get snowed in, we could get quite sloshed, I think.
I'm sure we can just consider it to be medicinal in these purposes.
Yes, I'm feeling rather ill myself. Perhaps I'll have another.
So you have another drink. It gets a little bit warmer as Stanley stokes the fire, puts another log on. You're feeling warmer, more pleasant as the drinks hit. You feel that pleasant little buzz in the back of your skull. But you do notice it's been a little bit of time since Henry went to prepare dinner, and you haven't seen him or heard anything from him in that time.
No sounds from that direction of kitchen stuff?
You can give me a listen roll if you're actively listening for him.
I'll actively listen. 17. Let me see if I've trained my listening. 17 under 20.
Well, that works out, so that's a pass. So you listen, perhaps a bit concerned. You do hear some clattering, and then you hear sounds like maybe a dish falling on the ground and breaking. You hear it, oh dear.
Have we noticed any staff?
No staff. It just seems to be Henry.
But this is quite a large house for there to be no staff? Is that unusual, or am I imagining things?
Well, for Missy, it would definitely be a bit unusual, perhaps very unusual, but generally, yes, you might expect there to be at least a maid or a cook or someone else in this house. It is a 2-story building, and he is very old, so maybe it is a little strange.
Well, then I would definitely like to wander around and look for one.
I think I heard something in the kitchen. I'm gonna go see if Henry needs a hand, and I'll head that direction.
I pour another rye for myself and another rye for Stanley.
Much obliged. Thank you.
Okay, so Buzz is making his way towards the kitchen. So you go down this long hallway. The hallway feels much longer than it should be. Just as you're walking down it takes you a little bit longer to get to the kitchen than you would expect it to. And it feels dark and close in here at the same time as feeling too large. So this sort of oppressive feeling, and then this feeling of too much space. It's very unnerving.
So feeling that, I might just call out, Henry, is everything okay? I'm going to come give you a hand with dinner.
You hear, that would be... That would be wonderful. Oh dear.
Keep walking towards wherever I heard his voice, down this dreadful passage.
Okay. So you head into the kitchen. I've dropped a map into the Discord chat of the first floor since you've walked the hallway. You make your way into the kitchen, and it is just cozy. There's a checkerboard floor, a large sink. There's barely enough counter space in here to prepare a meal. It's a smaller kitchen than you'd expect for a house of this size. The matchlit gas stove is functioning, but it's puffing out a bit of smoke, and it looks like it could use a good cleaning. And you see stairs. And as you walk in, Buzz, give me a power roll.
It's going to be that kind of night. Let me see. Oh, that was a good roll. 31. What's my POW? 31 under 60.
Okay.
I could spend a luck, too, if a hard POW is in order here.
It won't make a difference. You see for a moment what looks like a large rat on the countertop. Its eyes are glowing with a feverish glow, and you startle back as you suddenly realize you have a fear of rats, and your head starts to swim, and you suddenly feel this mass of furry bodies scampering over you. You're in a tight, confined space. There's claws piercing you, tearing at you, and the squeaking is unbearable as they crawl over your body, your face, tearing, squeaking. And then you snap out of it.
I don't think I would have been quiet during that little event. So I think there would have been some shouting and some yelling. Get off me. Oh my God. Ah! Maybe falling back out.
When he hears that, Clarence's demeanor changes somewhat, and he says, "Everyone, get behind me. I'm going to go and check on Buzz, but I think it's better if we go together." And I grab the fire poker, and head through, following the sound of the shouting.
So you head down the hallway. Stanley and Missy, do you go with Clarence?
Absolutely.
Drinks in
I'll
hand.
bring up the rear. Mm-hmm.
Buzz, as the feeling passes and you come back to yourself and you suddenly realize a bit sheepishly you're standing in the kitchen, there's no rat there. Henry is looking at you. He's holding a carving fork in one hand. There's a knife on the counter in front of him that he's not holding, with a large pot roast on a plate. And he looks up at you and furrows his eyes. And, are you all right, young man?
No, Henry, what the hell was that? What was that rat?
Rats? Oh, yes, perhaps we have rats in the house. It is a very big old house, and I can't quite keep up with it, but did you see one? And he swirls around with the carving fork in his hand. He slips slightly. He moves a bit too fast. Where?
It was crawling all over. You didn't see it? It was on the... I guess it was on the table here, but it was crawling all over me, and... but it doesn't make sense.
I don't see any rats.
I'm checking myself for any scratches or any signs of actually being attacked.
There's no scratches that you can see. For a brief moment, you think you see blood on your hands, just from these little maybe tears in your flesh, but then you look again, they're not there. You feel fine physically, but you're a bit shaken.
Oh, sorry, Henry. I must have I've never had something like that happen to me. I must have imagined it. Rats.
And as you say rats, that's when Clarence and Missy and Stanley approach the door.
Buzz? Henry, you all right?
We're fine. I'm pretty sure I saw a rat, and it startled me. It's all embarrassing now.
Oh, no need to be embarrassed at all, Buzz. Rats are one of the most, one of the creepiest of all of God's creations. I feel like anyone would panic if suddenly set upon by one, but you're doing all right. No harm done.
They're not that bad. If you put a little salt on them, they're kind of tasty, actually.
Oh, Stanley.
Oh, God.
What?
Oh, he was kidding.
Yeah, he was kidding. He was kidding, Missy.
No, I'm not kidding about the salt. It actually works.
Oh, yes, you wouldn't want to have one
Stanley.
without salt. I mean, they're quite gamey.
Oh my God, please stop. You're going to make me sick.
Henry's looking back and forth between the four of you, and he just shakes his head and says, "Well, we won't be having we won't be having rat tonight. We're having," and he looks down at the pot roast like he can't remember what it's called. A roast, yes. Perhaps one of you would like to chop some vegetables for me. We need to get dinner on the table before it gets cold, and I'm afraid I'm, well, I must admit to struggling a little bit.
Say no more. I will begin chopping vegetables at once. And I duly do so, but not with any great degree of skill.
So you start chopping up some carrots as he directs you. He points you towards a knife block and a cutting board, and you pull one of the knives out and start cutting some carrots. And you can make me a psychology roll, Clarence.
Okay. Looks like I got 85. That's quite good, isn't it?
Afraid not. You get a flash of insight for a moment. Something's off here, but you're not quite sure what it is. And you go back to chopping carrots.
Okay.
Unless you would like to push the roll.
I'm going to save my pushes.
Okay. Not a bad plan. All right, so you go back to chopping carrots, and Henry fusses about the kitchen for a moment. What are the other three of you doing while Clarence is chopping carrots and Henry is pulling out dishes and nearly dropping things? And
I don't have a cooking skill on my sheet. I have at least 20% in yacht, but I don't have a single point in cooking. I guess I could persuade natural world 20. So I think I'm just going to sit and drink and maybe go side up to Mr. Knott and ask him what's been going on recently with his physical health.
Got a touch of the old arthritis. Makes it a little hard to hold on to things, you know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up in this old place the way I'm feeling, if I'm being completely honest. It's been a bit lonely ever since Eleanor died, you know, and well, perhaps I could rent it out or live with my son in Chicago, although I heard it's even colder there, and I don't know how my joints would take it. But what was the question again, dear?
Oh, don't mind that. Don't mind that, you poor thing. Absolutely. When is your son coming back to visit again, so that you could have a more detailed discussion about these plans?
Oh, he's coming, and he just kind of stares off into the distance, and a look of bewilderment crosses his face.
Yeah, I don't think it's ominous at all to end on "he's coming" and then just trail off into the end. I'm like, demon? Devil?
Who's coming, old bean?
My son? That's what you asked about, isn't it, dear?
It is, absolutely. Absolutely. You said he was living in Chicago.
Yes. He moved out there with his wife some time ago. One doesn't like having one's children so far away, but they've got minds of their own, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Do you need any help getting in touch with him later?
Yes, maybe could write a letter. I can't hold the pen so well, you know.
Oh, well, that's at least something that I can do quite well.
Buzz, would you take the roast into the dining room? I don't think I should be carrying it. And he looks at the remnants of a dropped plate on the ground.
I'll take a look at so the roast is cooked?
Yes.
So I'll take a look at the cooked roast. I'll take a look at the raw carrots that Clarence is chopping. I'll nod my head. It's this kind of dinner. Oh, Henry, how the mighty have fallen, and I will start gathering up and bringing things into... Stanley, you want to give me a hand here with some of this cutlery and such, and we'll get everything set up.
Be glad to. I'll grab the accoutrement and then head on in there with Buzz.
When's the last time you've seen Henry?
No, it's been a while. I've been, working, and I hadn't been up there. And I paid my condolences when his wife passed. And that's probably, I think, the last time I may have saw him.
And what was that? That was a few months ago, right?
Yeah, something.
He seems remarkably worse for the wear. From the last time I saw him, I'm worried about him.
Yeah, I owe him a lot. I wish he would have just, if he needed help, just to come get me. I could clean up around here. I can, I know how to do stuff like that. But I hadn't seen him, and just looking at him now, it hurts my heart a little bit. Because they were such givers, and I wish there was something I can do, Buzz. I really do.
Yeah, I've seen this before, where one side of the partnership passes and then the other goes quickly, and I'm afraid that might be what our dear Mr. Knott is heading for. But I don't understand these crosses either. I thought a new historical project, that's going to be great. He's got his mind active, but I don't think his mind is active on a new historical project. He could barely remember how to pull a roast out of the oven.
I didn't know he was working on anything, and I don't remember him talking a lot about church. But the couple times I've been in here, I haven't seen anything like that.
No, I knew him for a little bit before, and he was never an overtly religious man.
Maybe he's called us here to help him. Maybe he's just a little bit embarrassed, to ask. And maybe once he gets some food in him and maybe a little bit of drink, he may, reveal that he wants us to help around here, or maybe help him get to his son or something. That's what I'm hoping.
Keep setting the table and putting things out and carrying on the conversation.
When you set the dishes down on the table, the table briefly feels dusty and gritty, like there's something on it. But you look at the table and it's completely clean.
I think I'll notice that as I started to sort of wipe it down and then realize I'm wiping down a clean table. Something about this place is messing with me, Stanley.
Yeah, I have a hard time remembering which side the fork goes on.
I walk through with my. I've plated my carrots on a sort of serving plate because I'm not really sure what to do. And I say to Stanley as I overhear him, I say, well, in my opinion, the fork goes on the left. But I actually have found that in a lot of cases, Americans will put the fork on the right. Or they'll put it on the left, but they'll still hold it in their right hand, which requires them to sort of cross the plate to pick it up. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you, Stanley, is it doesn't really matter because most people here are Americans and they'll just do whatever seems right at the time.
If they haven't gone to finishing school.
I barely even gone to a starting school.
Missy, as you come into the dining room, it feels kind of crowded in here. The table takes up most of the space. There is a sideboard with a little radio on it, but it's mostly the table and chairs, and now that people are coming in, it feels very crowded. It makes you feel a bit claustrophobic. And you look around for a moment just to sort of escape this feeling of claustrophobia. You see something interesting on the wall.
Well, what am I looking at the wall?
Hung on the wall, just at the head of the table, is what looks like a mask of a human face.
Oh, how ghastly. Is it? But it's not really a human face.
No. You look a little bit closer. It looks to you like a death mask. You see there's a little label below it on the wall. It says, George Weber, died 1835.
Like a death mask, like some clay that would have been set over their face, or we stripped off his face, tanned the hide, and placed it on the wall?
It's clay that would have been placed over his face to make a mold of it when he died.
Oh, thank God. Well, I'm definitely not touching this thing.
Henry comes in, tottering in. He's gotten a cane now at this point, and he slowly makes his way in. The radio turns on. It plays a song you're unfamiliar with, but it just automatically turns on by itself, and it makes all of you feel uncomfortable. You don't know why, but you feel very stressed out about this song playing on this radio.
Is that all of us?
All four of you.
Well, can I change the radio?
You can. You go over to change the radio. You'd have to turn it off at this point in time. And you can make me a power roll.
Ooh, power roll to turn a knob. What a knob. Okay, I have rolled a 38 under 65. I'm quite powerful, actually.
The song turns sinister to you. It suddenly sounds slower, more intense. And you look at the radio, you go to turn it off, and the radio looks like it's been smashed to pieces.
The radio's smashed to pieces. Oh God, did it just fall apart? There's splinters everywhere. What? Do you have termites?
What is that, dear?
I turn to Mr. Knott and I say, I come look, something. I just barely touched the radio and it looks, what? I'm confused because it doesn't look like it fell apart. It looks like it got smashed.
It looks like it was smashed. You draw his attention to it and he just sort of blinks and says, "Yes, dear, that's very nice." He sits down at the head of the table.
I mean, is the radio off?
The radio's off. The song has stopped playing. The rest of you just saw Missy go and turn the knob on the radio, which is still standing there on the sideboard.
Missy, thank you. That song was awful. And I think we're all probably waiting until the lady sits first, so... Except for Mr. Knott. I mean, old people can do what they want.
I place the poker, which I'm still holding, on the table for politeness' sake. And then I say, "Oh, look, roast and poker. I already know her. Bit of English humor there, I suppose. No, never mind, everybody. I'm gonna dig in.
So who's carving the roast?
I'll do it. I said I was going to take charge, so yeah, I start inexpertly carving the roast.
You can make me a psychology roll, everyone else. As Clarence picks up the knife and starts carving the roast.
I have slightly better than base psychology. I'm so glad this is not Delta Green because I have rolled an 88 over 15.
Okay.
74 over 10.
99 over 10.
Oh, you fumbled.
I did.
You are suddenly convinced that something dark is at work here, and Henry is at the center of it. He's hiding something, and you don't know what it is, but it's filled with ill intent.
Mr. Knott, why have you got us all together? I don't really understand what's going on here. You know, what are you doing? What are you up to?
He looks up as Clarence puts some roast on his plate. Oh, I wanted you to help me look for something. I could have sworn I mentioned it to you when I asked you to come. Was it a book, maybe? I wanted help with finding it, whatever it is.
Are you sure that's all? Because I know I haven't known you that long, but I just got a feeling that there's just something you're not telling us.
And he looks genuinely distressed. You don't need the rest of you don't need a psychology roll to see that. He looks genuinely upset. Says, I don't. My memory hasn't been that good since my accident, and I could have sworn I knew what I was asking for. I needed your help. This is the first you're hearing of an accident.
What do you say there about an accident, Old Bean?
Oh, I fell down the stairs into the basement.
Oh, goodness.
A month ago.
No, geez, Henry.
It was rather terrifying in the dark, and I may have hit my head. I'm not sure, but I haven't been remembering things as well since I fell.
Well, no wonder you're feeling a bit out of sorts, Henry. Have you seen the doctor? Head injuries can be quite serious.
I don't remember if I did or not.
Oh, maybe we should call for one.
I second that.
Do phones exist?
Yes, phones exist, Clarence.
Well, I think I'll go and give the doctor a call then.
Okay. So you go and go to the phone, which is on a little side table in the living room. And you pick up the phone, and I'd like you to give me a power roll.
It's the only kind of roll I know how to do. Well, 91.
All right. Not a fumble, but you failed. There is a long beeping sound, and then a hiss, and you hear a tss, and you lose 1 magic point.
So I hold the receiver away from my head, and I go, there's some kind of terrible hissing on the line. It's left me feeling rather less magical. And then I hang up, and I say, well, I mean, it looks like we won't be able to get a doctor too urgently. Perhaps the storm has put the lines down or something.
Clarence comes back in and tells you that the phone line is down, which is entirely possible considering the storm. It's been a pretty heavy storm. It seems to be getting worse. You can hear the howling of the wind outside, even from this more insulated room. And it is a little bit chilly. Henry is eating very slowly, very carefully, but you can give me a spot hidden roll.
I got a 39 over 80.
He's not using a knife. He's trying to cut his pot roast with the side of a fork.
Oh, Henry. Now, we've discussed this before. What you're looking for there is a splade, as they call them in Australia, which is a sort of fork with a knife on the side of it that also functions as a spoon. By any measure, the greatest of all cutlery implements. But no, it looks like you've got the more official and more recognized in high society fork. So let's throw a knife in your other hand, and you'll find the cutting process much easier.
He startles back a little bit. Says, I'd rather not.
Well, would you like a hand cutting it? There's no shame in it at all. I've had to do it myself, you know. I had to have a friend of mine when I damaged my wrist playing bowls. Had to cut up my food for quite a while. So, can I give you a hand?
Please, I'm rather ashamed to admit it, but I've developed a sort of phobia.
Please, speak nothing of it. We were just having this discussion earlier on with Buzz. There's nothing of the phobia about being scared of knives. Knives are scary. It's not unreasonable at all. But let me help you out, and I'm sure you would help me out if the situation were reversed.
So you cut his pot roast for him. You notice he leans back when the knife gets a little bit too close. He definitely seems afraid of this knife.
I take the plate fully away from him and cut it somewhere where he is comfortable being far away enough from the knife.
He sighs. Thank you. Thank you.
So it's a knife, a fork, and a spoon?
Yes, rather good. I mean, better I would find than So there is a rather tawdry American equivalent called a spork, which is superficially similar. But as I say, the nature of the splade is that there is a blade on the side of the sort of spoon portion of the implement. And so one can simply, it allows for a fully one-handed meal. One simply uses the splade to sort of saw the food and then eats it. Aside from, I would say, soup, it is probably the best cutlery implement for any given situation, in my opinion.
Wow, I wish I would have had that in Wichita when I was catching them rats. I'm sorry, Missy. I don't mean to talk about this at the dinner table. All the manners and stuff. I saw it. Clarence, you and I can discuss this a little bit later.
You have a fairly pleasant meal. It's the pot roast is a little tough. The carrots are raw. There's some nice store-bought rolls that are at least palatable. But it's that sort of meal. So you talk a little bit. Mr. Knott, Henry mentions his book a few more times that he thinks he's lost. He talks about Eleanor, his wife, and some fond memories of her. Talks about their son in Chicago. He seems to have a firmer grasp while he's talking about these things. He doesn't drift off quite as much when he talks about them. But the meal comes to an end, and would you mind helping me clear away?
No, absolutely. I'll go around and I'll pick up the dishes.
As you do that, Stanley, as you clear away the dishes, you suddenly feel nausea. A very, very strong feeling of nausea, and I'd like you to give me a con roll.
That is a 51 on a 35.
Okay. There's something wrong with the food. You're not quite sure what it is, but it makes you feel sick for a moment. And you are going to lose 1 magic point. And then the feeling passes.
Excuse me. I may have ate a little bit too much of the roast.
You okay, Stanley? You look a little green.
Yeah, I'll take these in the kitchen. I'll get me a little water. I'll be right back.
I'll call out. Watch out. Never mind. Shake my head.
So you go back to the kitchen, you get some water, you come back. Henry is staring pensively off into the distance, and could you help me find my book? I don't know which book it is, but I'll know it when I see it. But I'm afraid I lost it somewhere.
Well,
in the library? No, I don't have a library.
I mean, how many books would you say you have? Because I do rather think that I'll know it when I see it. We might need some specifics, Henry, because I mean that could be any book. And while you mentioned you don't have a library, I'm sure you have multiple books.
Oh, yes, I have books in the office, historical books, that sort of thing. But it's not any of those. I'm quite certain of it.
Any thoughts of genre? Are we looking for a mystery, a romance, perhaps, or?
It's and he looks upset again. Like, I don't remember.
Now look, Henry, if it's smart, there's no harm in just admitting it.
No, I'm quite certain it's not that. I'm very certain. Oh my. He gets flustered.
I tell you what, I'll go and I'll just go and take a quick look around, and I'll see if I see any sort of books that look obvious. You know, it looks like the kind of book that one might be looking for. I'm sure if you had it recently, it's probably still out. So. Yeah, I know you said it probably wasn't one of the ones in the office, but I'll go and look in the office just in case, because you never know.
Okay. The office is, where is my office? It's, it's across the hall. Yes, it's across the hall.
Oh, well, that couldn't be easier.
So, you go out to inspect the office. What are the rest of you doing?
Mr. Knott, you said you had gone down into the basement. How good did you may have dropped it down there?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. I haven't wanted to go in since my accident, so it's entirely possible.
How do I get to the basement? I'll go look for you so you don't have to go down them stairs anymore.
Upstairs in the kitchen.
All right.
I'll join you on that, but we should find a candle or two.
Yeah.
I'll go to the living room, right? He's not going to the living room to look for the book, right?
No, you were in the living room before. You didn't see any books in the living room.
Well, there's lots of furniture, but I guess
That's
I
true.
could go somewhere else. You could have fallen behind the shade lounge or something like that.
You can go look in the living room if you want to.
I want to go to the living room.
Okay. So Missy heads back to the living room. Clarence, you make your way across the hall to the office. We'll deal with you first because you're the first one out the door. And it's right across the hall. So the office has a mess in here. There's a cheap desk covered in papers, account books. There's a bookshelf with knickknacks and letters, and there are a few books on the bookshelf. There's papers scattered across the floor. It feels a bit damp in here as you enter.
It feels a bit damp in here. That can't be good for the books. So I'm gonna do a spot hidden roll. I'm gonna start moving papers around. I'm guessing it's probably not on a shelf. So I'm gonna start moving papers around and see if there's anything that an ostentatious book could be hidden under.
All right, give me a spot hidden roll.
Tab on that. I got a 79, which is actually pretty close to good.
You can spend luck, or you can push the roll.
I'm just going to take the fail, I think.
Okay. So you search through these papers. You look behind some of the other books on the bookcase, the few that are there, and you can't find anything.
Oh dear, this is rather awkward. I fancy myself quite good at finding hidden things. Well, maybe I'll try somewhere else. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to turn right out of the office and go along to the next door, which I believe is the storage room.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to resume my search.
Okay. So Stanley and Buzz, you go into the kitchen, you rummage around, you find some candles. It's a little hard to light them. They keep going out. It takes a few tries to get the candles working, but you finally manage to light a flame that sticks, for lack of a better word. And you can make your way down into the basement. So the basement stairs make you feel uncomfortable for some reason. You're standing at the top of the stairs looking down into the dark. The stairs disappear into the darkness. For a moment, both of you feel like you can't see the bottom.
Stanley, does this seem very dark down these stairs to you too?
Yeah, it's a little bit, it throws me off.
These candles remind me of that fireplace that was giving you trouble too. I mean, you seem like a kind of person who knows how to do a fire. I saw you struggle a little bit with that. And
Yeah.
these candles, how do you struggle with lighting a candle? This place something's wrong with this place. Maybe it's the air. There's like
Maybe.
gas in here.
So do you head down the stairs?
Carefully.
Very carefully. All right.
Mhm.
Give me a dex roll, Stanley.
Okay. That actually I can do. I rolled a 4 out of 35, so that's a big old success.
So as you're making your way down the stairs, there's a broken step that you see, and you manage to step around it. But the light on your candle flickers, and you see crumpled at the foot of the stairs, their neck bent at an unnatural angle, is Mr. Knott. And laying on the ground next to him, covered in blood, is Missy.
Oh my God, Mr. Missy. And I'll go down the steps. And
Give me a sanity roll.
33, so that does pass.
Okay. So lose 2 points of sanity.
And I'll check Misty first.
So You look at Missy, and all of her bones appear broken. Just everything is shattered when you look at her body. Her face is covered in blood, her head is tilted, her eyes staring up at you, glassed over. But when you go to touch her, it disappears.
What the hell? And I'll kind of step back from that point. Buzz, did you see, it was Mr. Knott and Missy. They fell down the steps. Now they're gone. I don't understand. Maybe too much rye. Did you not see that?
Did I not see that?
You didn't see that.
No, Stanley, I just saw you rush down the stairs, taking your life in your own hand. What did you see down? I'm going to go down to the bottom of the stairs. What did you see down here? Was it a rat? I'm telling you, I saw the most giant rat in that kitchen, and it jumped on me, and I felt it jumping on me and clawing at me, and then it was gone. Did you have the same thing with you? Is this what happened to you?
Just as sure as I'm standing here, I saw Mr. Knott right here, and I'll point down. He had fallen, and apparently Misty was with him, and she was right here, and every bone was shattered, and now they're gone, and I don't know what the hell's going on.
You still see Henry's body, Stanley. When you're up close to it, you see his back is full of vicious stab wounds.
He's been stabbed. Can't you see it? I'll try to put my hand on his back and see.
As soon as you try to touch him, he disappears.
And his hand will go and hit the floor hard.
I'm going to kneel down. I'm going to get the candle close to the floor. I'm going to take a close look and then maybe sweep it around. Just get the sense of whatever we can see from the candlelight.
It's a paneled basement. There's, for a moment, what looks like a puddle of water on the floor. But then you look back at it, it's not there. It's cold down here. You feel uncomfortable, Buzz. This sense of dread you felt at the top of the stairs is intensified. You feel almost like the walls are closing in on you.
Oh man, this reminds me of I first walked towards that kitchen that I just felt. I don't see a book. Do you see a book? I don't see a book down here. Let's get out of here.
I'll give a quick look around just to make sure there's a book, and then...
You don't see any books down here.
And then just like as a kid, when you were running up the stairs, and as you went up each step, back of your brain, you're just like, something's going to grab you, something. I'm going up, and I'm trying to go up as an adult, responsible, not afraid of the dark, but I think towards the top, I'm taking steps 2 at a time and rushing out.
You rush your way back up the stairs, and you swear just for a moment, Buzz, you feel the little clawing of rats at your legs, just for a moment.
And I'll bust out of the stairwell into the kitchen and to the far wall of the kitchen and turn around my back to the wall, waiting for Stanley to come out of that basement.
Yeah, I'm right on Buzz's heels.
Okay. So you come up out of the basement. Meanwhile, Missy, you've made your way back to the living room. It feels larger in here than you thought, but maybe that's just because you're coming out of the claustrophobic feeling of the dining room where everything was close together and tight. And you look around. It's colder. The fire has dimmed much faster than it should have. You weren't away at dinner that long. What do you do?
So it's much colder?
It is very cold in here.
Well, while I'm looking for this book, I'm also going to go find my coat.
Okay.
It's got to be right around here, too. You know, one of these little closets right off this room, I think.
Yeah, it's in the mud room.
Ah, good.
You go back to the mud room to get your coat?
Yeah, I'm going to grab my coat just because I'm going to put it on my shoulders. I'm quite cold, and obviously, I'm not going to feel too bad about this because, the person who owns the house is struggling, obviously, near the end of his life.
You go into the mudroom first to grab your coat, and as you grab your coat, you hear the sound of nails scratching on the wood door, like a dog scratching to be let out. And I'd like a spot hidden roll from you.
I've rolled a 0-3.
Extreme. Missy, You see scratch marks on the inside of that side door, and you suddenly feel cold and empty and alone, and you remember your hands all torn up, your nails bleeding. You remember scratching, clawing desperately at that door. You were trying so hard to get out and you couldn't get out, and you knew you were never going to get out of here, but you clawed away at that door regardless, so desperately. And this memory floods your mind as you make me a sanity roll.
Perfect. All right, a sanity roll for me with my sanity of 65. Let's go. I have rolled a 58 under 65.
Okay, so lose 2 points of sanity for me.
I guess. Perfect. And then can I try to get out of the house? Can I try to open the door?
Yeah, you run to the front door in a panic. The snow is howling outside.
Okay. Because I've opened the door and I can see the snow howling, or I hear it as I approach the door? Okay, the snow is howling. Well, I'm gonna use some of this cold, brisk air to wake myself up. So I'm gonna close the door behind me and stand on the stoop.
Okay.
For
Stand on the stoop.
for a good 3 minutes till I'm nice and chill before I decide to go back inside.
Okay. So you stand on the stoop, and you feel the fresh air. You feel the cold, and then you feel chilled to the bone. Very, very cold. So cold. So cold, and you feel a bit sleepy for a moment, and then you shake yourself awake.
Oh, God. Well, definitely time to go back inside. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and call the driver to come back over here. By the time he makes it over, I'm sure at that time I can then have an excuse to leave. So I'm going to go inside, and I'm going to go find that telephone.
Okay. You find the phone in the living room. Pick it up.
Perfect. Yes.
And there's no sound.
No, is there operator?
Silence.
Okay, I'm going to trace the line to the wall, where I'm sure it's stapled along the wall instead of inside the wall.
You look at this phone line as you follow it back to the wall, and you realize it's been cut. Just for a moment.
Fuck.
And then you look at it, and it's not cut, and you turn your head, and out of the corner of your eye, it looks cut.
Well, can I look at it directly while it's not cut and pick up the phone?
You do, and all you hear is silence. Do you stay in the living room, or do you leave the living room?
No one has cell phones because it's 1920.
It's 1923.
Oh, God. How am I going to call my driver? I'm going to have to go next door. I can't do it right now, and I'm not doing it by myself. I don't know what kind of neighborhood that I'm in anymore. So I'm going to have to go find the only... oh, God. They all seem quite nice. Let's see. Who's the least pervy of the three of them? Stanley. You're the nicest. Okay. Let's go find Stanley.
You step out into the hallway, and you see Clarence coming out of a room, maybe the office, and you see Buzz and Stanley coming up out of the kitchen. And then you hear I remember! I remember! And Henry comes tottering out of the dining room where he's presumably just been sitting the whole time, and looks at all of you and says, a secret room, library, the book is in the library, it's in the library.
Well, it is where one would normally keep books. I'm a little bit more frustrated than I normally am.
It's a secret room. It's safe. It's safe. It's safe. The library. I've been looking for it for so long. Oh, I've been in the library. The library, the book, the library. And his hands are shaking as he's looking at you all, in turn, trying to get you to understand how important these words are.
Presumably, I can hear this from this conversation from the storage room. And
Yes.
I poke my head out and go, "You said there wasn't a library, old chap. If you told us there was a library, or at least not specifically contraindicated the existence of a library, we could have been looking for a library this whole time."
Contra what?
It's upstairs. It's not real. It's the library. It's not real, but it's safe.
Oh, well, as long as it's pretend, it should be easy to find. Come on, everyone, let's go.
Oh, it's upstairs. It's upstairs. And as he's speaking to you, you see two burning red eyes looking at you from over his shoulder. And then this creature coalesces around these eyes. Tall, thin, translucent, wide, gaping mouth full of sharp, crooked fangs. And it hisses at all of you, and then it reaches out with these long claws, and it tears into Henry, ripping him apart. You see him rip apart like tissue paper. There's no blood, there's no gore, no bones. He is just shredded into bits as the creature begins feeding itself with these bits of Henry Knott. And that is where we will leave this session. Thank you all for listening. I hope you will join us next time to find out what happens to our intrepid investigators. Thank you, and good night.